and welcome to Facebook Live. The hashtag for this event is TES Summit at the Pier. If you're watching this on the website, we're not live anymore, and it is the full video, edited and clean for you to watch. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Can you please start by telling us a bit about yourself and what has brought you to all the career choices you've made over the past few years?
I think it's probably best to start kind of far back. My very first business was a photography studio that is still operating today, which is BK Studios, with my business partner of the last almost 20 years. And that led me on a journey, I think, that, it was a very creative field. It was very, there was a lot I learned about business. That's where I cut my teeth in business. That's where I made all my mistakes.
I like that, yes.
And which later, kind of built into commercial photography. I started doing portrait and wedding, fired into commercial photography probably about 10 years ago, and really changed the game of my business doing commercial photography, which really suited me better based on my interests in business. And then I started seeing a lot of gaps in how small business functions in terms of marketing and branding and all of those kinds of things. And I founded the Freebird Collective with 8 other fantastic women who are web designers, graphic designers, social media writers. It's an amazing collective of women that really help small businesses with their brands and marketing. And from there shifted into consulting and my own marketing company called Love Campaigns that is really focused on marketing from the real relationship perspective and building long-term relationships, not only online but offline as well, and how you do that and how you blend the two. And then from there, looking at things like the Summit at the Pier that are really passion projects for me that are ultimately have to be successful as businesses or they don't flourish and they don't grow. Yes. So as important as it is to bring on sponsors and build a great event and make a great experience for the youth coming to the event, it's incredibly important to build a good business model that functions and that will continue for many years to come. And so that's been a bit of the journey from way back when to now, and I think ultimately started with my lack of support in my education system when I was young. And I would charge people for like overdue and
8 years old, you were renting out Archie.
I was renting out Archie comics, and it was just kind of one of those things, and which I actually later heard. I think it was like Robert Kiyosaki or somebody who actually did a very similar thing, and I was like, oh well. That puts me in that category then for sure. And so I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, I can relate to you on that. But yes, so it started very young, but it was definitely something that was just a part of who I was. And it was it's very social. Being an entrepreneur is very social. It's very much about connecting to people and building relationships. And that was something I was really interested in from a really young age. I liked people. I liked figuring out how things worked and finding gaps and problems and trying to solve them, and those were not skills when I went to school that were recognized, and if anything, they were certainly not something that was explored or encouraged to be explored. It was like those soft skills, like if it wasn't math or science or something curriculum based.
Then why would you go to school for it? It's almost like clown college. Going to school for entrepreneurship was like going to school to be a clown.
Yeah. And I didn't understand how those skills related to what I wanted to do with my life. So, no one really ever said, hey, wow, you should go into communications or marketing, or these skills could be used in this way or that way. So I just kind of always felt like those skills didn't really mean much. And they weren't valuable. And they today are the most valuable skills I have. So.
Oh, yes. Because I know... I know that this space we're in right now, do you want to tell us about this space? How it came to be, and also about the summit?
So this is the landing pad that we're in right now, which is in downtown Victoria in the Murchie's building on Langley Street. And it was actually getting together with a few other entrepreneurs who identified, all of us kind of identified that there were some gaps around co-working and the movement that was happening there, and particularly space for meetings. That we have banks and we have hotels, and we're kind of tied to walking through a bank, and their hours and those kinds of things with meeting in those spaces. And then hotels were, we had to order food from the hotel, and there was kind of logistics around that, and a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business people wanting to use a space that they could easily access. And outside business hours, entrepreneurs don't work 9 to 5, and so this is a very automated space that you can access online and book and key code entry.
Yes, okay, I want to talk about the key code entry because I know that for many people who might be interested in actually having a space for themselves, having access to a key is quite...
Yeah, well, it's cumbersome because you have to get the key to somebody, and so this is through the beauty of the app called Kivo. You usually, you just literally download this app and use your thumb to open the door, and anyone can download it with when it's sent to an email address, and that just makes it incredibly convenient. Obviously, I don't want to come down here and open the doors for everybody all day long, and so the space is really easily accessible, and people can use it at their convenience.
Kivo is the app.
Kivo, yeah.
Okay, out of the blue, I actually asked Rebecca to interview, and she was very, very busy, and I wanted her to come to Vancouver, but it turns out that I was actually in Victoria this week, so it worked out amazing that I was able to meet her and see the space that I've walked by every time I've gone downstairs in Murchie's in Victoria. I've been curious about the space, so I'm glad that it worked out that we were to meet. Now, the reason why I originally came across you and were like, Rebecca, hi, my name's Orianna, I want to interview you, when can we have this happen? It was literally, wham, bam, interview me, ma'am. And it was because I creeped your profile, I had a look at what you're doing, I saw that you were involved in the space, I saw that you were involved in the summit, that you were very present and in your career, but also very, very present in the community, which is so important to the Entrepreneur Social, because we're all about entrepreneurs and building community and resources, and sharing those resources and information that we learn. Because we all know that traditional education doesn't, my goodness, put your hands up, or just say, hear ye, hear ye. If you went to school and you feel like you did not get the biggest bang for your buck, that there's still so many questions you had when you graduated.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Yeah, hear ye, hear ye. Tell me about the summit, and it's coming up. Tell me everything.
The summit is born out of many things. It's kind of a culmination of all of the experiences that I've had in life and in school and in business, and a lot of the relationships that I've kind of developed along the way. So the summit feels like this big birthing of something that I think has been coming for a long time. And it really is an opportunity for youth to engage with their community and with each other in something that is, nothing like a, typical school setting. And it came through my partnership with Jeff Hopkins. So I met Jeff through some other entrepreneurs that said, you really got to check out this school and what they're doing. And I myself have a 13-year-old daughter, and it was a school that she checked out for herself and was very interested in. And so I went and toured the school with her. She was interested in going to the school, and I became very interested in the school, obviously from her perspective, but as an entrepreneur, I saw some of the things happening there.
Which school? Is it
So it's the Pacific School of Innovation and Inquiry, which is located not far from here, a couple of blocks that way in Nootka Court.
Yeah.
And it's run by a man named Jeff Hopkins, and Jeff is the former superintendent of schools for Gulf Islands.
Right.
And he left that career because he wanted to really effectuate change in the school system.
My mother would know of him because she's a counselor. I don't believe she still does counseling in the Gulf Islands, but she, I believe, mentions his name at least a couple times.
Most people in education in this part of the world,
they know him.
They
He's
know,
kind of a legacy.
They know Jeff. He's kind of, he's a very understated guy. He would never tell you that, but he's made some really, really big strides, not just in sort of education outside of the system, but even within the system. He's really maintained good relationships inside that system, and really isn't about poo-pooing the system that exists. It's how do we shift, how do we move forward,
how do we make it grow, make it better,
how do we transform.
And there is absolutely a place for traditional education, but where I see the gap is that there's room for more and different types and reinventing education. So not just the traditional, university. I went to VIU. I did 6 years. Grateful for the education, but what you guys are doing really gives a different perspective to education and just adds.
Yeah, well, I think that really the goal is that, as human beings, we're wired to learn. We're born, with this desire to learn. It's how we learn how to walk. It's how we learn how to talk. It isn't because anyone's teaching us. If we were just left to our own devices, we would learn those things because we have that innate desire. So it's really a built-in thing. And when human beings learn out of necessity and out of drive and passion and are really engaged in what they're learning about, it never stops. It doesn't happen inside a school. It doesn't happen. I think Jeff always refers to it as it doesn't have to happen in a building, right? That's not how learning works. And so this summit is really about saying it isn't necessarily about what's wrong with the system or what needs to change in the system. It's that we can't wait for a system to change. We've all recognized we're far past the point where we're arguing about whether the system needs to change or not. Yeah. But systems change slowly. We know that. Yes. And we have kids today that need to engage in their community. They need to engage with each other. They need to find their passions. And these are all things that we're all kind of agreeing on. And they need to earn a living in the world and make their way and do things that are of purpose. And this is really a way for them to kind of explore what those things might be for them and how they might engage in the world in a meaningful way, and giving them all the tools to do that.
I think that's brilliant. So the summit, which is happening, remind me the date?
Next weekend, October 1st and 2nd.
October 1st and 2nd. You guys must be sold out by now. Or
we still have more tickets, so you can definitely still buy more tickets. We capped our number really high, and
that's brilliant.
Students between grade 9 and 12, so you can definitely still buy tickets, and schools are buying tickets in bulk packages as well as individual. They're $125, but we do have a student bursary, so we have a policy around not excluding anyone based on financial means. So if you can afford to buy a ticket, wonderful. If you cannot, we also have a student bursary that is providing assistance and in some cases tickets to students who can't attend.
Yeah, so if you have any kids, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, you do it all. If you have kids, check it out. It's summitatthepier.com, right?
Yes.
www.summitatthepier.com. Our hashtag subsequently is hashtag TES Summit at the Pier. So please do join the conversation. If you have questions, I will probably pop up to the camera and look really, really closely at it to see your questions. Otherwise, I'll get Rebecca here to jump in and answer any questions you do have about the space, about a keyless app if you're thinking about opening your own space, about perhaps having your kids come to the event next weekend that's coming up. It is in Victoria. It's a great boat ride over, and you could do Airbnb or you could stay with a friend while you're over here.
We also have an awesome hotel sponsor, which is the Oswego Hotel, which is very close to the location, and they're offering a great deal on rooms, so come stay for the weekend.
Okay, great. You deserve it. Come stay, bring your kids, educate them, educate your future workforce. Just kidding, not. That's why we have kids, right? Okay, that is a lot of incredible information for helping empower our youth. I think that's brilliant. I am actually going to be talking to Rebecca after the video about ways that both my partner and I'm volunteering you, Jeff Zeller, so if you're watching this and you say nothing, then it's a yes. If you say no, then it's a maybe. We're going to be talking about helping Rebecca out and seeing if there's anything that we can do to contribute a bit of time so that we can learn a bit more about the event itself and giving back and helping empower youth to get out there and find a different way to ask questions about the world around them. And they're our future.
Yeah, and that really is the sort of to sum up what the Pacific School of Innovation Inquiry is about, and subsequently the summit is about inquiry. It is about looking within and determining what it is that you have interest in, passion about, excitement.
You want to change the world to leave it a better place than when you were in it.
Yeah, absolutely. What you want to change, what you want to learn about, how you want to explore it, and being able to do that, as an entrepreneur, having the community at your disposal when you engage in this entrepreneurial community, whether that's the larger global community or your local communities, there's so much to learn from the people around you, and that is part of what the summit is about for youth, is connect and collaborate and really learn from each other.
I think that's amazing. I can't imagine, even in elementary school, even in high school growing up, I didn't have a lot of direction of where I wanted to go, so I kind of learn a little bit about everything. It would have been helpful to be put into a place and have this opportunity where I could meet and share and inquire with other people my own age.
And it gives a context, right? Like that's what's so important, is that when you're in an environment like that, with hundreds of other kids, and you've got the support of the community, and we've got a human library that will be in attendance that is all entrepreneurs and politicians and educators and people from our community who are really engaged in helping kids through this process, that we're there to step back and get out of their way and let them do what they do, but be there to answer questions, help them, support them through if they get stuck, if they need technology, if they need a question answered. I mean, usually when you get stuck moving forward in any kind of project, there's always somebody who can answer your question, somebody who can help you, right? And that's really what the purpose of the human library is not to get in there and take over as we often do as adults.
Call it, yes, of course, you literally call it a human library. Tell me a bit more about the term you're using.
Well, it's human library, or living library is a common term that's used for that, in the sense that there are things that the Google can't tell you, right? As much as we think that the Google can tell us all, there are questions that are too complex for the Google. And you can still ask the Google and it will give you some answers, but that is where that human interaction and those who've gone before us, I have entrepreneurs in my life who have done more, been more places, been on the planet longer than me, and some have been on the planet a shorter time than me, but have had incredible experiences that they've been able to share with me and help me through, some of the challenges that I face. So I've got this incredible network that, I hit a wall and I'm like, I don't know how to answer this question. Yes, I can Google, yes, I can read books, and I can do all those kinds of things, but oftentimes my question can be answered by someone in my community like that. And so I use that every day. That's literally what entrepreneurship is.
Before, this is a real pain point for me, because before I became an entrepreneur, there were so many doors that I thought were closed. Like, I would never think to, if I wanted to get a hold of something, if I wanted to ask someone, I would never think to just call them or email them or ask them to take them for a coffee. Like, none of this would occur to me. It was all about red tape. Like, but now, as far as I'm concerned, if I have a question for Rihanna, if I have a question for Tom Cruise, okay, these are just movie stars.
I had a question for Seth Godin, and I called him and he answered.
Really?
For reals. I called him, he answered, he called me back, he left me a message. We played telephone tag on the weekend, and he called me back and we had a conversation and he answered my question.
What was the question?
Well, I wanted him to get engaged in the summit, which he now is. So we're figuring out how he's going to participate in that.
That is, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that, you have a question, it doesn't matter how high up they are. I mean, it might be a little bit of red tape to get to Obama, but I'm telling you, if you have a question for Trudeau and you want to get him involved, then get him involved. Like, even I was over on his Facebook page, and he is huge about bringing youth and just empowering youth. So
he's on our site this next weekend. So
see, there we go.
Yeah, and Trudeau and William and Kate will be literally on the same site as us on Saturday. So we've reached out there as well.
So
and
they already know you're.
You never know.
You
never know what will happen, right?
Letting them know. And another important point to mention is making sure that it's relevant, because if you are calling to ask them a question, make sure you have a specific question to ask and be able to relate it to them in some way. So if you're
I think actually the best piece of advice, because I have a lot of people call me, and I know that lots of entrepreneurs do, particularly when you're engaged in something big like the summit or whatever that is, and the people that I can give the most to and the people that I tend to engage the most with are the ones that contact me about what they can do for me, not what I can do for them. And it's not because I want somebody to do something for me, but if you're doing something like the summit that is this massive community effort, chances are you're really busy, and chances are there's a lot of people engaged. And when someone reaches out and says, I can do this for you, I would love to take this piece on or help you in this way with this big project. And right away, I know that they're in the community for the right reasons. They're not there to take. And we're all there. Like I'm in this to give as much as I possibly can because I know that how much has been given to me, and I want to pay that forward. But I think there's a lot of, can I take you for coffee? Can I pick your brain? And when you're really busy, that's really challenging, right? You want to have coffee with everybody and share what you have, but you don't have time for that. So when somebody engages in a way that's about how they can help, then ultimately they end up in the position where they can pick your brain and have conversations with you because they've really come out of the woodwork in a way that says, I want to engage and I want to help and I want to be there for what I can do, not what you can do for me. She has access to a lot of different opportunities that I didn't necessarily have access to when I was young, which is incredible. And now there's almost too many things, right? There's so much access and so much information available to young people that I feel like we really need a way to sort of filter that information and help them process it and determine what it really is that they feel passionate about that would make them excited to get up in the morning. And I think when we do that kind of work, and that work varies for so many people in so many different ways, but when we do that kind of work that we feel excited and passionate about, so even when you're in the shitstorm that sometimes entrepreneurship can be, and any job really, any purposeful thing in the world, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun. There's going to be lots of challenges. But when you love what you do and when you're passionate about the goals behind it, a little paperwork doesn't seem so bad, and answering hundreds of emails sometimes doesn't seem so bad because you've got your eye on the real goal and the passion and why you get up in the morning. And I really believe that if more people lived that way and were excited about why they got up in the morning and what they were doing in the world, it would be a better place. So this really started from working with young people and having a particular experience actually right here across the way from the landing pad. This building is owned by Bob and Brenda Louie, and they were willing to use that space that is a retail store across the way to allow a student from the Pacific School of Innovation and Inquiry to open her own retail pop-up shop over the holidays, which she did. I mentored her through that process last fall, and she made $10,000 in 3 weeks.
My goodness!
She brought in, on consignment, all local makers, designers, creators of local products.
She just had like a pop-up
right there. Right there. Yep. Yeah.
How did you mentor her through this process? How did you form that role?
Yeah, I was working with a group of other entrepreneurs at the time, and Jeff had this student who wanted to do this, and just kind of said to us, what do you think? He knew we were opening this space, and those kinds of things were going on, and so he introduced us to Brianna, who's she may even be watching. It's Brianna Faith, but she's at school right now, so she's probably working hard.
How old is she?
She's 17 now, but this was when she was 16.
Okay.
And so I just worked with her. I mean, she did all the work. I didn't do anything other than do exactly what I'm talking about: answering questions, giving a little guidance here and there, making suggestions about things she might want to think about.
Yeah, just being the human library.
Maybe
with your permission, and you check with her. Maybe we can get in touch with her.
She would be all over that.
That's wonderful. Yeah. The more youth we can inspire, and have someone step up and volunteer to be a mentor, and maybe offer a space for youth. The more we can do that, the better we can support.
She's operating 2 companies right now, researching. She's making her own lipstick with a company called Euphoric Tendencies, and she's also partnering with my daughter, and the two of them are not only leading our summit team. So they are the youth marketing team.
What's your daughter's name?
My daughter's Maddie.
Is she on the website? Because I had
she is.
To see your images,
yeah.
And I recall seeing.
Yeah, Maddie, different last name for me, Maddie Hoosen.
Okay,
so
that's probably why.
She's Maddie Kirstein on Facebook, though.
Yes, of course. It's true.
She likes to be a ninja.
Yes.
But yeah, her and Brianna are leading up our youth marketing team. They're doing school visits and talking to young people about the summit and why it's important, and engaging in the community in that way, and doing interviews with Shaw, and really doing our promotion from the perspective of youth. Yeah. And working together on another business as well.
It's her generation. Well, it's her generation. Generations last 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know, I gotta Google it. about 10 years. That's her generation that are really going to be affected, and
Yep.
so she really is directly connected to the generation that you're trying to reach. And
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, there's no better people to talk to youth than youth.
Yes, they speak their language.
They speak their language, absolutely. And these are two young people that are, incredibly engaged and excited about entrepreneurship. But it isn't just about entrepreneurship, I mean, that's these skills that entrepreneurship teaches you are, resilience and, relationship building and persistence. And, there's a whole lot of things built into the things that you learn from having an idea and figuring out how to take that idea from floating around in your head to reality. And the way that we do that as entrepreneurs is to let that idea out, iterate it with other people, talk about it, collaborate, share knowledge and experiences. Nothing I've ever done in my entire career has been me. I can't take credit for anything. I've always had partners. I've always had advisors and mentors and people that I'm connected to that I trust. And I've had the same business partner in multiple businesses for almost 20 years, who's also my best friend. We started as in business and we're now family, Anna McKenzie, if she's out there. She's got a new baby at home, so she's probably not watching. But she'll watch later. She'll watch later.
The edited version where you don't see my head like 2 inches from the screen.
And I really do partner in business with people that I really want to spend time with, because this is not a 9-to-5 job. This is not something where we go to work and we can work with people that we don't really jive with or that we don't really see eye to eye.
Yes.
And I honestly don't want to do that. And I don't work with people that are, it's not that you can't be different and have different things to bring to the table and not necessarily, want to be chums all the time, but the reality of doing business with people in this kind of close, building an event like this, we've seen the good, bad, and ugly of each other on this team, right? Because we're working under pressure really with lots of time constraints and deadlines and, all kinds of things going on and too many balls in the air at any given moment. And you want to work with people that are good, kind people that have the same goal in mind, and the rest of it you figure out along the way.
I read this, and I actually read it quite often, though I'm going to say it a little bit wrong, but Martin Luther King, everyone's heard his speech, right? His many wonderful speeches.
I Have a Dream.
Yes, that is the speech. It's
the speech.
Yes. And there's one part where he says, now I'm going to butcher it a little, but the gist of it is he says, a true person's character is defined in times of turmoil and challenge, not in times of ease and happiness. Mm-hmm. And I think that is.
Yeah, and there's nothing about building something big that is easy or, without its challenges. Yep. And so, the summit or any other business I've ever endeavored upon there's always challenges. There's always, we are literally right now in the 11th hour of this event. We've had to redesign our site map multiple times because the royals are coming and the prime minister is coming. And we now can't have drones flying over the location for our photography, which is a part of one of our sponsorship agreements with another sponsor, and so the trickle down
making sure that everyone gets along and plays nicely on
there's
the day
always
of.
Issues, right? And we didn't expect this, literally like some of the most important people in the world descending upon our event.
It's by accident.
I know.
This woman, I know she's not going to admit it on camera, but I bet you called the royal family and you called the minister and were like, so we need to talk, my people, your people. This is how it's going to be amazing for you and our country, and we want you there, and we don't want anyone else.
I'm not going to lie and say it isn't in the works to have them stop by our event, since they're just really, really close by. Whether that'll work out or not.
Across the street.
Come on. They knighted Sir Ken Robinson, and he's on the same location as us.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
If you're out there on Justin Trudeau's team or Will and Kate.
So they're coming this weekend.
Why
aren't you not coming to Victoria? Victoria.
Exactly.
You have nothing better to do.
And so they'll be in Victoria. They'll be at the same venue as us on the same day.
Yes.
They will literally
Oh my
be
goodness. And they
here
have
and we're
Wi-Fi
here.
in Victoria.
Yeah.
In case anyone was thinking there's no Wi-Fi, there's Wi-Fi. There's 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
You can do your work from here.
Yeah.
Tell your boss you're sick. Just don't be on camera, which is my next question. Is there a live feed at the event? Is there any kind of hashtags? If people who can't attend, that are really interested in seeing what you're doing, what the event.
Yeah, there's definitely, so it actually was one of our goals to live stream the event this
Yes.
year, and like the entire event through the Stream of Consciousness, which has been,
okay.
yeah, the Stream of Consciousness is a local company that is streaming all kinds of things all over the world, and he's actually off to France at the time of the summit to live stream an event for Carolyn Mays, which is kind of a big deal. And so we really wanted to make that happen this year, and ultimately it just came down to budget and timing and all of those things. So we'll definitely be live streaming next year.
Did you entertain any other options? Because I mean, obviously Facebook Live they allow you to go live on Facebook for 40 minutes. So we're getting close to the time now, but
Yes.
Is there any other
so
options?
there is other options, and our social media team is working on it because there's definitely going to be a lot of social media that day. There's going to be, we're on Twitter and Slack and Facebook and Instagram and all of those things. So there'll be live action happening all day, and there will be, Facebook Live and those types of things going out. So there's absolutely going to be ways to connect online with the summit, just not the full live stream of the entire event as we were originally looking at doing. Yeah. So that won't be happening, but there absolutely will be opportunities to connect through all of our social channels with what's going on all day. We've got Deborah LaFranc coming, who does amazing visual storytelling. So she's going to be visiting all the groups. The little sketch art, like sketch notes.
For TEDx Melbourne 2013, Lyndon, if you're watching, Lyndon was one of the people who helped connect us with a visual artist. They do amazing things. They do entire sketches, and you're like, you got that?
From
all
that?
Of that?
Yeah, you can see one. I mean, Deborah did one just from a talk that Jeff and I did with Inspired Victoria, and it was amazing. And so we talked to her after the event, and she was totally excited to come and be a part of.
Sketcher?
Her name is Deborah LaFranc.
Deborah LaFranc.
Yeah. And so she's on Facebook as well. And so she's going to be coming to the event and visiting with the groups of youth as they're creating their projects and creating this visual storytelling of what's happening. So all of those kinds of things, and photos and video from the event will be shared.
From you after, because they do a whole lot of creeping.
There's some good creeping to do. And Shaw TV is going to be there. And the reason Shaw TV is there is literally to allow the youth to interview each other, interview the facilitators, speakers. So Shaw is just facilitating the use of the camera equipment and mics and all of that, but they're not actually doing the work. The students will be actually engaged in covering the event and being roving reporters.
I think that's
it's going to be really fun.
Yes. Okay. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about, you mentioned that a lot of the youth go into schools. How have you utilized, how have you utilized social media, any kind of local advertising, to spread the word and to connect with people on a scale that's possible so you can actually sleep a few hours a night?
Yes, sleep a few hours a night. What are you talking about?
You work and you dream.
Not forever though, just in spurts.
Yes.
Yeah, self-care is important.
Yes, self-care is very important so that you can give the best version of yourself to everyone.
It's okay. It's okay to have a few weeks here and there that are crazy sometimes, but that is important to me, and spending time with family and all those things. But yes, there is absolutely the importance of marketing in an event like this and in something that is new that you're launching out into the world. I think is something. Well, you come from a marketing background, as do I, and there's sometimes these kinds, I'm actually shocked at how often the real overall strategy of how you get the word out there is overlooked, and especially when there's a time crunch like we're dealing with. I mean, we took on an event that should have taken 2 years to plan in 6 months.
When did you start it?
We started in February.
So
I don't recommend that.
When did the summit start originally? When was the website put up?
Oh, the website was put up in maybe April.
Okay, this year?
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. So this has been an undertaking that,
I'm impressed.
originally started with 2, very quickly became 4. So our core team is Tom Hudock and Ari Hirschberg and Jeff Hopkins and I. And that core team grew very quickly to our production crew and everyone outside of that, as well as all of our sponsors. I mean, we have Island Impact Marketing, Hot House Marketing. Tom and I also run a company called Love Campaigns that is very focused on relationship building and marketing, real relationship building.
Yes.
And so there is 3 marketing companies and social media and all of these things
together.
all coming together to make this machine happen. And it's not something that could be achieved otherwise, especially, and these are all sponsors. These are all people who said, this is important to get out into the community. This is an important event to make happen. We're in, where do we sign up? How do we make this work? And the blood, sweat, and tears of all of the sponsors and supporters. I know.
It's many. I was just going to ask you if you're going to have one in Vancouver next year.
Well, there's a lot of talks about how we can grow this, which is kind of happening in the background. So behind this is we've formed a foundation called the Stoked Youth Foundation, which is incredibly focused on not only spreading the inquiry-based learning out into the world and the importance of that as a shift in education, but also creating these kinds of opportunities for youth to connect with mentors, to connect with a summit community, because when you buy a ticket to the summit, you also get a year membership to the Youth Society. And we're in the process right now of creating all kinds of opportunities in a membership system so that they can stay connected to mentors, that they can attend additional events and sort of satellite events to continue their work. So something will start in a 2-day event.
And then might start to, you might be Summit X.
Oh yeah, we might be Summit X.
But we have just a couple of minutes left, and I don't want us to end and then have Facebook Live to go down and for us not to finish saying our piece. So you will see a video of this on the website on Monday. We will have it completed. I have one quick final question for you. Now, this isn't overly relevant to what you're doing, but I'm curious. I am a big fan of The View. I'm also quite a big fan of The Daily. Now, The Daily Show with Kelly Ripa?
Kelly Ripa? Okay.
Yeah, she's looking for a co-host. And I have an inkling to just send your name in. You could go and just
Me and Kelly Ripa, we could cause some trouble.
You could.
Yeah.
That woman does like 20 facial tics and expressions on her face per second.
She's pretty funny.
She is incredible.
I find her quite entertaining.
She's dry and excited and. So if you had to choose between the View and the Daily Show, either being a guest or being a permanent seat on the show, which one do you think would?
Good question. I definitely, it would definitely be Kelly Ripa for sure. I'm much more of a. I haven't had cable in years, so it's been a long time since I've watched either show, but I definitely have seen them. But Kelly is, she's my kind of people. She's funny, she's goofy, she doesn't care if she looks silly.
And that's the way you should be. Okay, so I'd like to thank you again for joining us, Rebecca.
Thank you.
We're going to let you go and have a great weekend, and we hope to see you in Victoria.